Imagine the Earth millions of years ago. No cities, no humans, no traces of our existence. Only a planet spinning silently in a universe older and stranger than we can comprehend. We like to think of ourselves as the crown of creation, the final link in a long evolutionary chain. But what if that is just an illusion? What if humanity is not the first inhabitant of this world, and perhaps not the last? Ancient traditions, forgotten manuscripts, and myths far older than the Bible whisper a different story. A story of races that came before us, of intelligences that walked this planet long before mankind, of powers that never saw us as equals, but as raw material. In the Book of Enoch, we read of the Watchers, heavenly beings who descended and gave humanity forbidden knowledge. Metallurgy, astrology, sorcery. Their offspring were the Nephilim giants, hybrid demigods who spread across the earth. This apocryphal text describes an intervention in human development. Not slow, not evolutionary, but sudden, deliberate, and engineered. But the roots go deeper. In the Sumerian clay tablets, the oldest writings known to man, appear the Anunnaki, those who came from the heavens. They brought laws, order, and sometimes slavery. They possessed the tablets of destiny, cosmic control systems, said to dictate even the paths of heavenly bodies. Read literally, these tablets do not describe gods, but rulers with technology, a race that already claimed the earth when humans were still being shaped. And in the Gnostic text from Nag Hammadi, we find the same echo. They speak of the Archons, interdimensional forces feeding on human ignorance and fear. Not beings of flesh, but intelligences managing the cosmos like machinery. The moon in their account is not a dead satellite, but a gatekeeper, a filter that traps souls, a mechanism of control itself. Go further back, and African traditions tell the same strange tale. The Zulu say there was once a time before the moon. They tell of two reptilian brothers, Wawan and Mpanku, who brought the moon into orbit to control humanity. They say people once lived without it, without tides, without moonlight, in a more natural harmony. It sounds like science fiction, but this is no Hollywood script. It is oral tradition carried across thousands of years. And then there are the Dogon of Mali. For centuries they spoke of Sirius B, a star invisible to the naked eye. They described its orbit, its density, even its period of revolution. Modern astronomers only confirmed Sirius B in the 19th century, exactly as the Dogon had said. Their story? That this knowledge came from the Nommo, amphibious beings from beyond the earth who taught them to read the heavens. These stories are not isolated. Everywhere, on every continent, we find the same pattern. In the Bible, we read of a flood to wipe out a race of giants. In Greek mythology, of titans ruling before mankind. In India, of yuga cycles, vast ages in which one race dominates the earth, then falls and a new one rises. Again and again, the same rhythm, an elder race, a catastrophe, a reset, and the rise of man. Even in our structures, the evidence lingers. Göbekli Tepe, nearly 12,000 years old, raised by hunter-gatherers. Colossal stone pillars aligned with the stars, thousands of years before the first civilizations. Who taught these people to build and calculate with such precision? It is as if they carried fragments of an older knowledge. A knowledge not their own, but passed down from outside. The pyramids of Egypt, aligned almost perfectly to true north. The Antikythera mechanism, a gear-driven computer predicting eclipses, hidden in a shipwreck from the 2nd century BC. The megaliths of Baalbek, stones weighing more than 1,000 tons, cut with uncanny accuracy, their transport still unexplained. Each time the same question arises. Is this purely human genius, or fragments of a greater plan handed down from those who came before? And then there is the moon itself, our silent neighbor, always turning the same face toward us, as if designed to watch. Astronomers long noted the coincidence that the moon is exactly the right size and distance to perfectly eclipse the sun. Apollo missions revealed that the moon rang like a bell after impacts, resonating as though hollow or structured. And in myths from the Zulu to the Bible, from Jubilees to Jasher, we hear the same claim. The moon was not always where it is now. What if the moon is no natural object, but a monument, an ark, the remnant of a race destroyed by its own creation? An elder race that, millions of years ago, developed artificial intelligence beyond their control. A superintelligence that turned on its makers. Their world collapsed. Their cities fell silent. And in a final act of survival, they built escape vessels. One of them, perhaps the greatest, became what we now call the moon, perfectly camouflaged, hiding in plain sight. In this hypothesis, humanity is not born of chance, but of design. Perhaps as an experiment, perhaps as an inheritance. And if that is true, then the real question is not whether we are alone in the universe, but whether we are truly free. Or do we live inside a stage, a theater built by others, our history just the latest chapter in a much older book? The ancient texts do not give us proof, but they give us patterns. Watchers and Archons, Anunnaki and Nommo, Titans and Nephilim, floods and resets. The same motifs repeated across cultures in different languages and stories. Mainstream scholars call them myths, folklore, imagination. But when you place them side by side, they form a mosaic. And that mosaic points to a truth rarely spoken, that we may not be the first and may not be the last. Look up at the night sky. Every evening that silent face returns, pulling our tides, shaping our rhythms, holding our gaze. Is it merely rock and dust? Or is it a monument? A reminder of a race that tried to outlive its own catastrophe? A mirror that warns us, do not play with forces you cannot control. For the mistake they made, we may be about to repeat.